suddenly becomes terror.
Your concern has been forwarded to Quality of Life Services.
Where are the police?
Queens, Night of Fire, in theaters now.
Imagine this. It's midnight. You're asleep in your home in a quiet New York neighborhood, and suddenly 50 cars flood your street, engines revving, tires screeching. Then comes the screaming. A mob is beating your neighbors in their own front yard. A car is on fire. You call 911, and they tell you to call 311. A Quality of Life team will handle it. That's not a dystopian movie. That's what happened this weekend in Queens. And what it reveals about who really controls American cities will absolutely floor you. So here's what's at stake. If the government won't protect you when a mob attacks your neighborhood, then what is the government for? In Malba Queens, residents watched in horror as coordinated street takeover turned their block into a war zone. A couple beaten in front of their home. A private security guard tried to intervene. His car was torched. And when families called 911 begging for help, they were redirected to 311. Right? A 30-minute delay then followed. That's not a glitch. That's a policy. Councilwoman Vicki Paladino called it a planned attack, an organized strike by people from outside the district. It wasn't random chaos. It was a message. The streets belong to the mob now. And if New York won't protect its own citizens, what city's next? Well, cities like New York descend into chaos because politicians refuse to invest in law and order. The Trump administration just broke some news on something that actually builds America. Under Executive Order 1424-1, the White House just named the Palmer Project in Alaska as critical to our national security. Now, Vizsla Copper has acquired that project, an estimated $3.5 billion in-ground value containing copper, zinc, and silver vital for our military and energy grid. They're led by the same team that propelled Vizsla Silver to $1 billion valuation. When other Alaskan miners got government backing, shares shot up over 200%. The Palmer Project was just named in the government's report, and the market hasn't even priced it in yet. And Vizsla Copper is trading under ticker VCUFF domestically. Check the link in the description to find out more. But here's what makes the story even worse. This wasn't the first time Councilwoman Paladino confirmed these takeovers have happened before in her district. The city knows. The police know, and nothing changes. Reports from the New York Post, Zero Hedge, and Gothamist all confirmed the same detail. 911 redirected emergency calls to a bureaucratic complaint line while a violent assault was in progress. 50 cars, 100 participants, flames lighting up the night. A resident said she's fed up with the way New York has become. And the government's message to citizens was clear. You are on your own. Look at this picture. Here it is, New York. You voted for communism? Welcome to communism. Videos show wild neighborhood street takeover as violent mob pummels couple and burns a truck. Reports from New York Post, Zero Hedge, Gothamist indicate during the new November 23rd, 24th street takeover, Malba Queens, 911 callers were directed to Quality of Life team via 311, resulting in 30-minute New York Police Department response delay. Spectrum News, New York 1. Here's the picture. See it on your screen. About 50 cars converge on a residential street, Malba Queens, where a takeover led to a car being set on fire, 2 neighbors attacked. Suspects wanted for beating up resident 50 years old during Queens Street takeover. Here's some images of them. But of course, they are simply scholars and engineers that we have yet discovered. New York City Councilman calls Queens Street takeover a planned attack after a couple beaten, a car torched. Paladino speaking out after a violent mob took over the Queens neighborhood she represents, leaving a couple beaten. Planned attack, says Fox News. Here's some video. NYC run by criminals, says MJ Truth Ultra, and New York City thugs in illegal street takeover beat the shit out of a white couple for complaining about it in front of their home. Here. And that is just a taste of the chaos. Queens residents are furious this morning after a mob of black teens took over their street, beat white couple, set their car on fire for trying to stop the takeover.
We'll start hip hop. Michael? GTA 6. GTA 6.
Want a videotape also? Whatever.
30v1. Oh yeah, they want to get it on. Yo, get him off the property. That's all you. Ari, cover your face.
You want some, bro? Tell us something,
Yo, chill. We'll start hip hop.
New York has fallen, my friends. It is over. It is over. I mean, the videos are just out of insane. Where are the police? Just driving in circles around a burning car. That video posted by the Councilwoman Vicki Paladino. Here's another one. Fire department decides to finally show up.
And incarceration in the
we'll get to you, Brandon, in a minute. Hold your horses. Okay, so that's the car in the middle that was on fire. A security vehicle. They just torched it. Looks like he's pouring some kind of accelerant on it. And then the car goes up. That's New York City. Violent car meetup in Queens. Sunday morning, security guard car set on fire. Homeowner's arms in a sling after he got attacked by 5 to 10 of the 100 street takeover participants. What's Mondami's plan to stop this mayhem? Send in counselors? Taking a look over at Chicago from New York City. The El Salvadorian president, Bukele, bodying Brandon Johnson after the derelict Chicago mayor claimed we cannot incarcerate our way out of violence because it's racist. Bukele says, yes, you can literally incarcerate your way out of violence. That's precisely why incarceration exists in the first place.
Not the way to draw. We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. We've already tried that, and we've ended up with the largest prison population in the world without solving the problems of crime and violence. The addiction on jails and incarceration in this country, we have moved past that. It is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence down. We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence.
Oh, man, that's the mindset. I mean, here's President Trump now weighing in. Remember that story we did about that young girl, 26 years old, burned alive on the Chicago Blue Line? She's now been identified as Bethany McGee. Here's the New York Post. Look at this. Beautiful young woman is now, I didn't think she had like, what was it? Like 75% of her body? And we initially had reported that this thug here, the suspect, had 49 priors. Turns out he had 72 prior arrests. Here's President Trump on that.
You saw all the crime that took place last night, the night before. The woman with the burning, they burned the woman. To be talking about that now, they burned this beautiful woman riding in a train. A man was arrested 72 times. 72 times, think of that. And they'll let him out again. The liberal judges will let him out again. But we're ready to go. You know, we've been moving toward Chicago. We have a governor that thinks it's wonderful that only like 7 people were killed this week. But we are moving toward doing, and we're going to, if crime gets, it's horrible what's happening in Chicago. We could make Chicago a safe city in a period of 4 weeks. In a period of 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, it would be totally safe. And the people of Chicago want us to go there. And if you look at the crime that's taken place in Chicago in the last 2 weeks, just take a look. It's on the front page of every newspaper. It's out of control. The mayor is incompetent, and the governor is a big fat slob. He ought to invite us in, say, please make Chicago crime that's taken place in Chicago in the last 2 weeks. Just take a look. It's on the front page of every newspaper. It's out of control. The mayor is incompetent, and the governor is a big fat slob. Newspaper. It's out of control. The mayor is incompetent, and the governor is a big fat slob. He ought to invite us in, say, please make Chicago safe. We're going to lose a great city if we don't do it quickly. Make Chicago, we'll do the same thing as we did in D.C., the same thing as we did everywhere we've gone. You saw all the crime that took place last night, the night before.
Oh, man.
The woman.
President Trump does not hold back. Elon Musk agreeing with him. The president is absolutely right. That woman should never have been attacked. And he also apparently agrees that Governor Pritzker is a big fat slob. So that's Chicago, New York. What else madness is happening? We're going to check in California. This is Gavin Newsom's California. Yeah, you see that? This was one of the bridges there. They took over an entire bridge. You can't even drive home without seeing a street takeover nowadays, and don't expect the police to do anything about it, as Gavin Newsom has them all handcuffed. Street takeovers occurring everywhere. They happen in Chicago, New York, California. And it's absolutely insane. So here's the gut punch. This is what happens when you vote for soft-on-crime politicians who believe policing is optional. This is what happens when the state sides with mobs instead of families. A homeowner now has his arm in a sling because he dared to object to criminals taking over his street. The security guard's car in ashes, and the city's response, call 311. New York isn't slipping, it's falling fast. Just as Chicago, California, into the kind of lawless chaos that we used to warn about years ago. 9/11, you call it, they don't answer. The mob does. Now, the story matters because it proves a very terrifying truth. In Democrat-run cities, law-abiding citizens are on their own. A quiet neighborhood in Queens becomes a war zone. A husband and wife beaten for defending their home, a car set ablaze, and when terrified families dialed 911, the system told them to call the complaint line. 30 minutes passed before police arrived. That's not incompetence, that's abandonment. Councilwoman Vicki Paladino called it exactly what it is, a planned attack, and she's right. These takeovers don't happen by accident. They're organized, they're repeated, and then they're tolerated by a political class that cares more about protecting criminals than protecting you. George Washington liberated New York City 242 years ago. What do you think he would say if he saw it now? My question for the comments, should residents have the right to defend their neighborhoods when police refuse to respond? Yes or no? Sound off below. If you want to support our work here, visit the merch shop linked in the description.